Illuvium is in a position to take off. This project has shown that they can build a fully realized crypto game, and I'm not talking about those pixel games that look like they were developed in the 2000s, a real game that uses NFT and blockchain technology to enhance the player experience. Hey everyone, I'm Caveman, and I don't do speculative content like this normally. In fact, this is the first video we have ever done across all of our channels. We've never done a token shill or predictions like this. And I do have to say, this is not financial advice. This is just my personal beliefs based on what I've been playing, what I see in the future. And I do just kind of want to try and call the bottom. I think there's a real opportunity for a 2 to 3x gain, or potentially even more. But here's why I believe the ILV, the governance token for Illuvium, is about to blow up. In case this is the first time hearing about the project, it is an ecosystem of games that are all interconnected. Assets from one game can be used within another. They range with a variety of genres that target different players. Some are meant for free-to-play, others have whale-level gacha systems. Casual players can find something enjoyable to relax and play on the side, while hardcore grinders can pump thousands of hours climbing leaderboards. They have 4 main game ranging in genres of a third-person shooter, where your main objective is to hunt illuvials, these alien creatures, taking aspects from Pokemon and Palworld, but with their own unique IP. The second game is a strategic auto-battler rivaling teamfight tactics and Dota Underlords in depth, but blows them away graphically. Third is an intricate city builder that funds the economy of the entire ecosystem. And then the fourth is an avatar collection game where you bond unique personalized assets competing against other players in total collection battles. Illuvium has plans to expand by adding other genres and modes to provide enjoyable gaming experiences for everyone. The game is set to launch July 25th. Now, I'm not a huge technical analyst expert, and I won't claim to be. Reading these charts is not my forte. In fact, what I'm doing might be a terrible idea to do based on TA, so feel free to invest, do your own research. But my optimism is purely around the current events, how I feel playing this game, and then what I foresee in the future, new modes, new features. And it's really just that this game has an element of fun that almost all other crypto games are missing. And I think that's what's key to what driving Illuvium's success. But if we do look at the charts, you'll be able to see that it's been on a downtrend for quite some time now, for at least about a month now. Mid-March, it was up at like 150, 160. And now we're down at like 70, trading pretty low here. And really, I'm going to call this the bottom. I really do think this is the bottom. We just had a loyalty airdrop released, and I think a lot of people probably sold off on that. That was a little bit of fear there. And now I think as soon as we start getting some more news, there will be a liftoff, and I think it's going to be going to the moon. After that, it's pretty much, you're going to have that hype train for the launch trailer. They're going to start activating their marketing budget, and I really do think this is an optimal time to be a part, and that's why I'm making this video. Obviously, there might still be some more sell pressure. There's greater crypto industry-wide stuff that's not looking exactly positive, or just global economy. So you do have those concerns to think of as well. But I personally, like I mentioned, I bought some SLV2. I also bought another tier 3 land. I'm ready to see Illuvium launch. And this is something I've been following for 3 years now. And I really think there's something here, and I'm excited to be a part of it. But yeah, let's start going in more of the speculative side of things. If we look back at the chart, I'm thinking, this localized peak 150, I think that's easily achievable just off of pure speculation. I think that as we get closer to that launch date, now that there's an official date and they're starting to build some hype, people are starting to spread the word that there's a playable game in crypto, I really think that that's going to start just building up a hype train. And this is going to start picking up as soon as the next cool feature or mode is released. That's when I think that's going to be the inflection point where we go up. And then the next point that you have to really monitor is launch day. And then following, what is the monthly active users and the monthly revenue? Keeping in mind that we do have a good amount of SLV2. If you don't know what that is, that can be used to convert for fuel. And it obviously is at a good discount right now. And so that will be a portion of the revenue, and that's just going to be burnt. So Illuvium's not actually making any revenue with that. I think it's about $1 or $2 million. Someone comment below what you think or what that actually is going to be, so we can consider it later. But that's one thing you have to consider. And then otherwise, I think we have to reach roughly $8 million to maintain Illuvium's core, team at Illuvium Labs, so they can continue pushing features and new games moving forward. And that's where then people will start going, okay, this project is a success and they have a long-term future. They were able to deliver on these 4 games that people are enjoying. Now we're going to start developing a battle royale, a cart game, all kinds of other stuff that's going to start really taking off. And then they're going to have more confidence in this studio as they start to progress. And maybe we'll get back to those all-time highs. 1900, I'm not going to believe in that. I don't believe in that. But who knows? I've seen, other people talk about 1,000 to 1,200. That's kind of where some of those marks are. I'm not going to say that I'm confident in that until I see really good metrics. And we can kind of go through what I estimate we could have a launch in. And so if we look at Impress.games, this is a Steam wishlist sales converter. I think it's really only useful for kind of calculating that first year of revenue. I mean, obviously it's hard to predict games and their viability starts to fall as they go further down. But here's kind of where you just input all kinds of information and see what it outputs. But right now we have Kieran, who's mentioned that we have 1 million registrations. This has been from a long time ago. I think a good amount of those are bots. I think a good amount are also probably left the ecosystem, not interested anymore, or just totally forgot about Illuvium. So I think that number is actually not a very valid number, but that's where I'm going to stick with, and I'll change the day one conversion down. I think that the price, $200 in that first month, I think that that's a average of what people will be spending. I think that you're going to have whales that are going to be dumping a lot of money, thousands of dollars, and then we'll have a whole bunch of free-to-play players, especially with the new Gauntlet mode, which is one of the reasons I'm also just super excited. I think that that's going to draw in such a large player base. They'll keep the game side of this really fresh and full of enjoyment and excitement. And then we have the whales that'll be flexing on their cosmetics, and they'll be trying to use those assets in the Leviathan modes. So that's where we're going to be looking at there. If we look into the settings, I could just set this to RPG and then it makes these conversions really high. I don't think that's realistic because I think we already have some insights in the number, and I'll talk about that now. So day one conversions, I'm saying is 2% of this 1 million, so that's 20,000. I think that right now, once again, if we look at the current unique owners, we have 24,000. I think maybe 4,000 of those are duplicates or players who are not interested, and we have 20,000 real players. And now we do have to know that some of these are just incentivized airdrop farmers, so it's not a good one-to-one there. But I think we're going to draw in some other people who have not been interested in the game, and they were waiting for the actual launch date to get involved. And I think those players are actually going to come into the ecosystem, making a good 20,000 real players day one conversion. Then as more people are playing this, they're sharing it on streams, it's starting to get in front of the public. I think we're going to have a really good growth. It's not going to be this 32% that this would say. And the reason it says 32% also is because when I put it in here, I say it's a top 30% game. I really do think Illuvium is a top 30% game. I've been covering Web 2 games for pretty much the last year or so. If you check our Polemos action channel, you can see that I've been covering Armored Core 6, Dragon's Dogma 2, Skull and Bones, Call of Duty, and I've really been immersed in those games. But every now and then, I'll be playing a game and I'll be like, wow, I really wish this had the scan function from Illuvium, or this game's movement just sucks. I love the way that Illuvium did it. Those kind of thoughts, when I have them playing a real AAA game with 10-year development cycles, hundreds of millions of dollars were put into it, that's when I get really bullish about Illuvium, and that's how I've been feeling lately. So, I do consider it a top 30% game. You could play around with this and use the week one conversions if you want. I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to go into custom settings, and I'm going to change this down to 5. All right, because I really think that we're really only going to bring in about 50,000 additional players that are going to be really in here with an average spend of $200. That's kind of like this is the most conservative worst case scenario that I think that we're going to be hitting. And so with that being said, then we're going to have a huge multiplier for year 1, a huge multiplier for year 3, and a huge lifetime multiplier, because I think that as this game gets visible and traditional gamers see a crypto game that is actually a game, that's when this is going to start to skyrocket. And we're going to start seeing huge amounts of players in the ecosystem. And that's where we start making some really good earnings. And you know, we do have to consider how much our profit margins, where our costs come from. And I'm still just using the suggested one of 40%. I think that that's maybe a little bit high. I think that us working as a DAO and the way that we're operating is actually more efficient, less costs, but I'm not 100% sure. That's definitely something for Illuvium Labs to discuss. But either way, I think this is it. Now, if we reveal the lifetime revenue, we're looking at 300 million. All right. And that I still think is not a valid number. I don't think that's correct. I still think that's way low. If that's what it was, I don't think this project would be very successful. I think that we need that pretty much yearly is kind of what we're targeting. So I'm really looking at this because the Steam wish list is only good for, you know, projecting the first month or so. And so we look at this week 1 sales, the week 1 gross revenue, and the week 1 net revenue of $6 million. I think that's kind of our base, our low point. That's how much we'll be generating in that first month. Obviously, this is pure speculation, and I'm just typing numbers in a spreadsheet. And we know law of percentages, that's crazy. Literally, you change any of these and it can kind of alter it. So this is just stuff that I've typed in and I go, this is what I truly feel confident with. This is what I'm feeling that Illuvium needs to hit anyways, is this to be successful. And we have to remember that the SILV2 will come into play here. If I haven't mentioned it already, SILV2 can be used to convert to fuel. And I think there's about $1 to $2 million of that. If you know the amount, please comment below. I think that's going to impact this first month. And then after that, we're going to start to see some really good scaling in month 2 and 3. And then that's really where we need to start picking things up. We should be bringing in 10 million in revenue per month on average, I think, moving forward for this to be really what we all expected it to be, and for investors to just start dumping, for us to reach those all-time highs again. That's kind of what we need to be pushing. So let's talk about how do we get there. And I like I said, this is the worst case scenario because I compare this to other Web3 games, and I still think that Illuvium is one of the best, if not the best out there. And if we compare it to Axie Infinity at its peak had 40 million players on a monthly active basis. And, you know, obviously they have the mobile market. And so there's a lot of people who can play there that can't play Illuvium because Illuvium is a much more intensive PC game. And so we're going to lose a large volume of players, but we're also going to bring in wealthier nations that are more interested in these higher AAA graphics and fidelity that hopefully have larger wallets to start dumping into here. And so I really think that if we can start comparing numbers with Axie Infinity, and even right now, Axie still has 354,000 players on. This is a active live player count. So, I mean, if we think about that, and that's a game that I just don't think compares to what Illuvium is building. And that's why I'm so confident in it. And if we look at, you know, start typing in those numbers, 40 million players here, you know, 2%, 5%. We're looking at 360 million for that year 1 kind of idea, or at least 40 million in that first month. And you know, that's some serious revenue after you take out the cost of 24 million. If we actually hit that, like I'm pretty sure the token price would skyrocket the second that those numbers started coming out. And if we actually then change this to the RPG, where we actually have huge conversions like that, we're looking at 2 billion. We're talking about billions of dollars here. And that's what Axie was bringing in. I think that they brought in like $4 billion over the lifetime of their game so far. And it's like a JPEG jumping little, it's nothing. It's literally nothing compared to what Illuvium is building. And I cannot wait to see Illuvium launch and compare that. And if we really want to, we can compare this to Pokemon. Pokemon has 81 million active players still playing Pokemon Go. And I think, once again, this is a game that can compete with them. And it's its own IP, its own very cool creatures that can be turned into plushies and stuff. And if we look at that, 80 million, we're looking at $4 billion there. in conversions. Obviously, this is speculation. Obviously, we have to be successful in the game to start drawing in all these other, IPs, and we can go start attacking media and merchandise. I mean, we have so many new features and modes that have not been implemented yet, such as like alluvial combat in the overworld. So instead of us just running around hunting, shooting them down, we might have some of them turn on us and fight us. We're going to be able to summon a alluvial companion to fight with us against them. This is going to lead to a whole new engagement and immersion in the overworld. We're going to have multiplayer in the Sanctum Mesa. At first, I think it's just going to be mostly a social hub, but I do imagine that's going to expand over time. We're going to have NPCs and lore, a real storyline and mission structure throughout the game. I heard raids are going to be a part of it, boss raids, and then obviously on the token side, revenue distribution. And if you don't know what that is, if you own the Illuvium tokens, you can stake them, locking them for a period of time, and then you're going to earn dividends, basically, or portions of the revenue that is generated by Illuvium. Currently, the structure is set up that 100% of the revenue goes back to token holders. 5% will go specifically to anyone who owns land, and then the 95% will be split amongst all staked ILV holders. And that alone can start to bring in a good amount of income, depending on how much revenue we're generating. So there's so much to be excited about. The project's just about to launch. I would get involved. I'd play the game, check it out yourself. Feel free to check out, I'll leave this link for Impress Games if you want to check it out and do your own estimations of what's realistic for you. But I'm super excited. That's all I have for this video. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys next time at Caveman logging off.